Welcome to the Finance Report. I'm David Wogenson alongside Mallory Hoff and our guests, Ralph and Tim Short. Over the next half hour, we'll be breaking down some of the keys to prepare for a successful retirement.
That's right, and here's what's ahead. First, we'll talk income and why retirees should consider replacing their paycheck in retirement. Then in 15 and 15, we'll discuss taxes, lifestyle, and your 401k. We'll also head to the streets of Richmond, where we'll talk with Ralph and Tim about market volatility and saving the right amount to retire with confidence. That conversation and so much more ahead.
But first, joining us now are Ralph and Tim Short. The father-son duo are part of the team at Welcome Home Financial Partners, a Richmond area firm that focuses on preparing people for a successful retirement. So gentlemen, once we hit retirement, the paycheck stops, but unfortunately the bills don't. So how important is it to think about replacing your paycheck for retirement?
Well, how are you going to pay for your bills? How are you going to do the things that you've always wanted to do all your life? Because basically, I don't believe that your vacation plans will be free in your retirement. So you've got to figure out how to do that.
Fortunately not.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because I know you hear this all the time. For those who say we plan to rely on Social Security or a pension, how do you respond to that?
Well, the problem is we don't know how long Social Security is going to be around the way that it is today. They're talking 2034 changes are going to be made. We don't know. We can't control that. So we need to focus on what we can control. Sure. What we can control is creating your own income plan. That way you can have that income coming to you to do all the retirement dreams that you waited so long to do.
Why is there this misconception that once you retire, you have this pile of money, right, and this is it? I'm going to pick away at it. I can't look at ways for it to potentially grow, etc.
Well, what I would say to you is most people need to understand they may have something else to do in their lives, and they might have some money coming into them so they can save. That's one thing. The other thing is they might receive an inheritance. So now you've got another pile of money to talk to, but you really do need to understand how much your money's going to grow, because you don't want to spend $5,000 a month and you're only going to get $3,000. So there's the problem there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about that for a second, because we all know people who have spent so many years picking away at exactly that, a pile of money. Sure. How do we then create income streams and income plans so that we really are ready for retirement?
Well, there's so many different ways to do it. Number one is you got to sit down and take a look at your numbers. Yeah. You got to look at your income, you got to look at your expenses, all right? That's number one. Number two is we got to figure out what your risk tolerance is, right? We always talk about the accumulation phase and the distribution phase of your lifetime, right? So while we're working, that's our accumulation phase. There's a lot of advisors out there that all they do is focus on the accumulation phase and not the distribution phase. Once you get close to retirement or in retirement, that's when we have to focus on where to place those investments so you can have that guaranteed income coming to you.
A lot of people are scared to even take a look at the numbers. We have a lot of people that come in and say, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this because I'm so scared right now to find out what you're going to tell us. The best thing you can do is come in, let's sit down and take a look at where your numbers are and go from there.
Okay, that's a step right there, but you talk about the fear element of people being scared to look at their numbers. That's no way to go through life, to go through retirement. You've worked 30 plus years to get to this stage. How do we overcome these fears and instead retire with confidence?
Well, you got to sit down and talk to us, right? So we got the process that we have. It's very eye-opening. A lot of people on the first meeting is they'll bring their paperwork in and sit down on the table and say, hey, can I retire? We haven't gone through the process yet. We've got to take a look at everything. So it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. Everybody's situation is going to be different. You know, some people could have inheritance. Some people only rely on an inheritance to retire. There's so many different things that are going to come into it, but it's all going to be based off each individual.
And really important information, which means the time to act is now. Today, exclusively for our Finance Report viewers, Ralph and Tim have a great offer for you. Right now, for the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $250,000 or greater, they're offering a complimentary full-blown retirement plan just for you. This will allow Ralph and Tim to sit down with you personally and provide you with a roadmap analyzing where you are right now and discuss your best steps to really get ready for a successful retirement. The number to call right now, 804-944-8867. Once again, that number, 804-944-8867. One of the most critical components for a successful retirement is, of course, tax planning. Big picture, what difference can it make?
Let me ask you this. If Uncle Sam came to you because you took a lot of money out of your retirement account with an extra $30,000 in taxes, how would that make you feel, and how would that make your retirement account work?
I think angry and then some.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the big thing when you start taking a look at retirement income coming from your 401k or IRAs, things of that nature. It's going to cost you extra money in taxes, not only on the amount that you took out, but it might increase your tax bracket on the rest of your income.
So let me ask you this. Obviously, so important to consider all of that. Why then do so many people so frequently overlook taxes?
Well, a lot of people don't like talking about taxes, right? Nobody likes paying taxes. We just do enough to do what we got to do to get by. So if you're retired and you're making more money than when you were working, you're going to have a lot more taxes to pay, more than likely. But on the flip side of this, if you don't have the focus on your tax planning and you don't have Roth accounts set up, and you're making $100,000 a year in retirement and you're only making $60,000 while you're working, are you going to have that tax-free income coming into you?
Yeah.
So the other thing to understand is even though you're 65, 67, or 70, you still have to pay taxes based on your income, not on your age.
All right, so let me ask you this then. What can we do, what moves can we make right now to lower that tax liability once we get to retirement?
Take a look at exactly what you're trying to do, what you can do to reduce that by maybe not taking so much money out of your retirement accounts, maybe from your savings. There's a lot of different ways that we talk to people.
And using Roth accounts, that's the big thing. And a lot of people talk about Roth accounts but don't really know how they work. A lot of people think, hey, if I use a Roth account, I don't have to pay taxes. Well, in certain cases that is correct, but you got to pay taxes going into it. So is it more beneficial to you right now putting in after-tax money into account while you're working versus having the tax deduction in a qualified account? So those are things that you got to look at. Once again, we always go back to the individual basis.
All right, so let's say you do have a proper tax plan in place and then you combine it with an income plan. What can retirement then potentially look like?
Everything you've always dreamed of, whether it's going to see the grandkids out in California every month, or maybe traveling around the world, or just sitting at home doing what you want to do without somebody telling you what to do.
It's all about living the golden years. You've worked 30, 40 years of your life to live out these retirement dreams.
Let me ask you this. You've been doing this a long time between the two of you. How often do you find people walk into your office for a first visit and you very quickly realize they have spent years overlooking tax planning and overlooking income planning?
It happens a lot. It happens an awful lot. And a lot of people, they're too scared to sit down and take a look at their numbers. You know, at some point in time, you're going to have to sit down and take a look at it because it's not going to fall into place. Retirement, you know, if you're solely relying on retiring on Social Security, that's probably not the best strategy. Most folks these days don't have pensions, so you're not going to have that income stream coming in. And by the time you're 60 or 65 years old, it might be a little bit too late because you're going to have to be super aggressive with the money you're trying to save.
Really important insight and guidance as always. Thank you both. Coming up on the Finance Report, we'll head to the streets of Richmond and talk about retiring with confidence. And up next in 15 in 15, David will put Ralph and Tim on the clock.
Inflation is what everybody talks about. You hear it on the news and people don't really understand. They don't grasp what inflation is.
But first, exclusively for our Finance Report viewers, Ralph and Tim have a great offer for you. Right now, for the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $250,000 or greater, they're offering a complimentary full-blown retirement plan just for you. This will allow Ralph and Tim to sit down with you personally and provide you with a roadmap analyzing where you are right now and discuss your best steps to really get ready for a successful retirement. The number to call right now, 804-944-8867. Once again, that number, 804-944-8867.
Time now for 15 in 15. 15 topics in 15 seconds for Ralph and Tim. Somewhat like rapid fire retirement questions, if you're ready for it.
Favorite part of the show.
Okay, there we go. All right, Ralph, we'd all like to believe we've made the right calls as we head into retirement. So in your mind, what needs to be done in order to retire with confidence?
You need to have a plan. You just can't operate at the seat of your pants. You need to understand your income, your expenses, and then understand where all this is coming from.
Can't do it by the seat of your pants. Right. Advice he gave you as a youngster, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So definitely some information to take in there. Tim, many people like to do their own investing. They've made money this way, but what's the difference between investing your money and putting together an actual plan for retirement?
Well, usually when you're investing your money, you're just trying to get a return. You're not focused on the distribution. So we always focus on the distribution phase when you're in retirement because at this point in time, if your investments take a downfall, what's that going to do for your income plan? So you got to make sure you're going to live your golden years the way that you want to, and make sure you get a little bit more conservative with your investment.
Understood. Some solid advice right there. Ralph, good news, bad news. We're living longer than ever before. That's the good news. The bad news is that means we need more money than ever before, because we certainly don't want to outlive it. What needs to be part of a plan so that our money lasts as long as we do?
You need to have a goal for each set of money that you've got. Some of it should be towards growth. Some of it needs to be a little bit more safer, and understand what your numbers will be. Always understand what your expenses and your income is going to be, so you can make sure you can outlive your money.
How important is it for your plan to take into account inflation?
Well, inflation is huge. I mean, especially the times that we're in right now. Inflation is what everybody talks about. You hear it on the news, and people don't really understand. They don't grasp what inflation is. Yes, we go to the grocery store and a gallon of milk, instead of being $2.50, is now $3, what have you. But let's take a look at your income for retirement. What's that going to do? If you're operating on a fixed budget and your income coming into you is $4,000 a month, and we've got this inflation at 7% or 8%, whatever it is, right? Then what's that going to do to your income? Your income, if it's not going to grow with it, then inflation is going to erode what you saved so long for.
All right, so everybody at home knows this. Inflation was not part of 15 and 15. Just important enough to go, and it got like a 35-second answer, and it was strong. But back on the clock, we're going to go right now. Sometimes saving can be a challenge, but why do you think high earners, 6, 7 plus, are not saving enough for retirement? Why is it a challenge for them?
Well, people aren't using the tools that are available to them, right? We've got the 401ks, we've got IRAs. People don't realize you can do a combination. They don't realize that once you turn 50, there's a catch-up provision. There's all these things that a lot of the earners, whether they're high earners or not, they're not taking advantage of. You know, you're going to have tax breaks with qualified accounts right now. So if you're making 6, 7 figures, why not have that tax deduction right now? And let's focus on that in the future, too.
That's a strong point. Ralph, according to a recent survey, 2/3 of workers said they would need $500,000 to retire comfortably. Guess what? They came up with this answer by guessing. Why is guessing not a good retirement strategy?
Well, number one, you have to understand what your expenses are going to be like in your retirement years. So all of a sudden, that $500,000, if you got a $5,000 a month mortgage because you bought an extra house or something like that, you probably aren't going to have enough money. So always understand that.
Tim, you mentioned this earlier, the 401k. Lots of people contribute. Lots of people are solely relying on their 401k for income in retirement. If you left a 401k at a previous job, what should you be doing with it?
Concentrate on what to do with the investment. You know, I would ask it this way. If you walked out the door from your employer, are they going to leave you with anything? Are you going to keep that laptop? Are you going to keep the company car? Why are you going to leave the money with them? So
yeah, sure.
When you leave your money with the old employer with that 401k, there's limited options to what you could actually invest in. If you roll that into another IRA, then the options are endless. Focus on that.
Endless options, not a bad way to go. Ralph, we want to keep more money in our pockets. What have you seen to people's retirement plans, though, when they aren't aware of the fees and try to reduce them?
Well, the number one thing is you need to understand what your fees are. Most people have no idea. They might understand what somebody told them, but when you look at all the hidden situations, that's when it might erode what you're trying to do.
Understood. You have to have the knowledge of what's going on. Gentlemen, we're pausing the clock right now.
All right.
Good stretch through those first 7. Some great information, and that's why today exclusively for our Finance Report viewers, Ralph and Tim have a great offer. Right now, for the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $250,000 or more, they're offering a complimentary full-blown retirement plan just for you. This will allow Ralph and Tim to sit down with you personally and provide you with a roadmap, analyzing where you are right now and discuss your best steps to really get ready for a successful retirement. The number to call, 804-944-8867. That's 804-944-8867. Fire that clock back up. Question number 8 of 15 and 15. Tim, coming to you. As we heard earlier, tax planning, it's critical, but are there strategies that can potentially move our retirements into a lower tax bracket?
Yeah, there are certain strategies to use, but at the end of the day, you're never going to avoid paying your taxes.
Sure.
We need to focus on how we can minimize your taxes, whether that's now, whether that's in retirement. It's all going to be done on the individual themselves.
Ralph, that's going to tee you up for this. For some, taxes in retirement could cost more than the combination of food, clothing, and health care. So what do we need to do to lessen our tax burden?
Well, understand what your tax burden is going to be, because if you start taking money out of your retirement accounts more than what you need, that may be all taxable to you, so you need to understand that. So guess what? Understanding that is going to help you make sure your retirement looks like what you want it to be.
That's what we've worked for, Tim. This is an alarming term, dead money. What is dead money, and how often are people unaware that they have dead money in their portfolio?
Well, dead money is money that's not working for you, right? Money's every dollar you have has to have a purpose, right? If you've got money sitting in savings right now, we know of inflation. Inflation is huge. So if your money's making 0.005% and inflation's at 7.9%, what's that doing? You're not losing any money, you're losing your buying power. So you got to focus on that. So you got to get rid of that dead money.
Yeah, you worked hard for that money, therefore that money should be working hard for you. Ralph, market volatility, big losses. What can retirement look like for someone if they're going through recovery mode?
One of the things that you need to understand, the closer you get to retirement, you're going to have to rely on your savings or your 401ks. If you have $500,000 in that or in the bank and somebody took half of it away from you, how's that going to make your retirement income look like?
Yeah, a lot less than you want it to be. Tim, strategies from years past that are still being used by people. Do you believe the rule of 100 is still a solid strategy?
It depends on each individual situation, right? So I'm not a big rule of thumb guy. I'm just not, because what we do is we like to sit down and we like to tailor it to each individual.
Sure.
For the most part, you do need to back off on your market risk when you get closer to retirement, but let's not focus on the rule of thumb.
Understood. There are rules to retirement. There are also the realities to retirement.
Absolutely.
Which side do you want to be on? Ralph, when it comes to Social Security, people are fearful it might not be there when they're eligible, so they think they should just go ahead and claim it as soon as they're eligible. Does that shoe fit all?
No, sir, indeed, it does not fit all. So what I'm going to say to you is if you're getting Social Security at age 62 and you're still working, why are you paying double taxation because of that? So understand you're going to have to take Social Security at some time, but make sure it's at the best time for you.
Sure. I can't imagine there's a long line for the double taxation crowd.
I don't think so.
Trying to avoid that as much as possible. Tim, there have been studies done on people with annuities, and I saw one that said people with annuities are actually happier. How could that possibly be the case?
Well, for most annuities, they're going to guarantee you income, right? A lot of people don't know how annuities work. There's a lot of misinformation out there about it. We like annuities. That could be part of your retirement puzzle. Not everything, but the guarantee, have that income stream coming to you, whether that's 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, you're going to have that for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It gives you peace of mind to know you got that amount of money coming in.
Yeah, that's a win. Again, very important to understand how they work before you go around judging them. Ralph, final question, the 15th one for 15 and 15. For many retirees, they won't have a lifetime pension income to rely on. Instead, they'll rely on their workplace retirement plan. So what should the retirement strategies be for the middle-class millionaire?
Middle-class millionaire really needs to understand their numbers, because all of a sudden now the burden's on your back if you don't have a pension. So you still have those bills coming in. You got to make sure that income's coming to you. That's why they need to understand all that.
All right.
And maybe not solely focus on that 401k. Why not do something outside the 401k, another IRA or Roth IRA?
Okay, understood. Gentlemen, guess what? Done. Great work.
All right.
Absolutely fantastic information. 15 and 15 is in the books, which means it's a great time for you to get on Welcome Home Financial Partners books. Today, exclusively for our Finance Report viewers, Ralph and Tim have a great offer for you. Right now, for the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $250,000 or greater, they're offering a complimentary full-blown retirement plan just for you. This will allow Ralph and Tim to sit down with you personally and provide you with a roadmap, analyzing where you are right now and discuss your best steps to really get ready for a successful retirement. The number to call, 804-944-8867, 804-944-8867.
For Ralph and Tim Short, their work isn't just a job, it's a passion. And on a walk through Richmond, they share stories and an unmistakable love of the community they're proud to call home.
It's a great place to be. I mean, look at the location. I mean, you get the best of everything. You're so close to the beach, you're so close to the nation's capital. A lot of people flock here.
Whether breaking things down on TV or having a conversation in the office, for father and son team Ralph and Tim Short, preparing clients for a successful retirement isn't just their line of work, it's their passion.
What's it like working together?
Some days it's great, It's challenging,
Yeah.
but most part it's been fun.
You agree?
Oh, I agree, and it is. It's an honor working with my dad. He's taught me a lot, but the good thing is the whole office is a team, you know, not just father-son team, but the whole office is a team.
Do you feel that you bring something unique to the table because of the relationship and the history that you have?
Yes, I do. I mean, for most of our clients, they really recognize the fact that we work as a team. We have their best interests at heart.
It's a blue-collar town. There's a lot of hard-working people here.
It's a close-knit community.
And that's why we like the clientele that we have, is because they're very down to earth, and I think that's why they like us as well, is because we are very down to earth as well.
Their goal is to help people prepare for the retirement they've spent years working towards. And they say the importance of sharing a vision with your significant other should not be overlooked.
You've got to be on the same page, always.
How hard is it to get people to be on the same page sometimes?
It can be tricky. It can
It's
be
a
tricky.
little challenging for sure.
But a lot of the folks here, they worked 20, 30, 40 years at a plant straight out of high school. So now they're wanting to know what they need to do with their funds.
It just infuriates me that they're not getting the proper advice because like Tim says, you worked so hard 40 years to accumulate this kind of money and now it's gone just like that.
To us, you're not the number. That's the whole meaning behind our name, Welcome Home Financial Partners, is you're part of the family. Once you become a client, you're part of the family. Everybody's going to be in a different situation. There's different rules, different regulations. Everybody's 401k plans, pension plans, they're all going to work a little bit different. The biggest thing that we've been seeing recently now is pension buyouts. A lot of these employers don't want to be on the hook to pay these people for their lifetime. We're supposed to be living longer, so a lot of these companies are wanting to buy out the pensions, so they're offering a lump sum to the employee or the retiree. Most of these people aren't getting the correct information and they're just cashing it out. So if they offer that lump sum of, let's say, $200,000, $300,000, they're taking that $300,000 and just putting it into their bank account instead of rolling it into an IRA. You're going to run into a big tax problem.
The companies will say, here, you got 2 weeks to make that decision. And all of a sudden, they're just like a deer blinded in the headlights. They don't know what to do.
I've heard you both say when it comes to retirement planning, the plan has to change because life changes.
Absolutely. Grandkids, great-grandkids, health concerns, everything's going to change. You've got to make sure that your money is going to last longer than you are.
When it comes to planning for retirement, how do you know if you've saved enough to truly enjoy the city you plan to retire in? And will inflation play a role? Both Ralph and Tim agree that when it comes to planning for a successful retirement, there is no magic number.
We have clients on different ends of the spectrum. One client will come in and say, I've got this money and I want to spend every last dime of it before I die because it's my money. I want to make sure of that fact. Or I have other clients who come in that will say, I want everything to go to my kids. I don't want any of this money. And then you explain to them, well, you don't have a choice about some of it because your 401k or IRAs, you're going to have to start taking money out at some point in your life. So there is no one plan or one correct answer. It just depends on what that person wants to do, what their plans are later down the road. It's simple as that. I think the biggest thing is always for them to understand what they need. If your whole thing is $3,000 a month in expenses and you got $5,000 a month coming in from whatever, guess what? You don't need a huge sum of money at that point in time. We have people come in with that and all of a sudden they said, I can retire because I've got $2,000 a month.
What it comes down to is just helping people. You work so long and then next thing you know is that you didn't make the correct decisions and now they're back to work, whether it's part-time or full-time. And I've seen it with people 60 plus that, you know, they're griping, hey, I just want to go home. I want to spend time with my grandkids, but I can't. I've got to work.
If you are in retirement or quickly approaching retirement, what do you need to be considering when it comes to inflation?
$5,000 a month isn't going to be the same next year as it is this year. Hell, it's not going to be the same next month. Your retirement income has to compensate for these things. Now, we've got a bunch of big plants around here. We've got Philip Morris, we've got DuPont. The Federal Reserve Building's right up the river here. There's so many different opportunities in this city, and a lot of people just don't get the advice because they're leaning on the water cooler talk.
Ralph and Tim would prefer that you lean on them instead.
I think the best feeling is when you're sitting down with somebody and you tell them that they can retire and just giving them the ability to know that they can. Letting people walk out the door with the peace of mind is the best reward we can see.
And as you just saw, Ralph and Tim have a true passion for helping people prepare for retirement, which is why exclusively for our Finance Report viewers, they have a great offer for you. Right now, for the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $250,000 or more saved for retirement, Ralph and Tim are offering a complimentary full-blown retirement plan just for you. This will allow them to sit down with you personally and provide you with a roadmap analyzing where you are right now and discuss your best steps to really get ready for a successful retirement. The number to call right now, 804-944-8867. Once again, 804-944-8867. And before we go today, let's recap.
Yeah, absolutely. Gentlemen, we've touched on this income planning. Why is that so critical for a successful retirement?
Because all of a sudden now you do not have a paycheck coming in. You've got to figure out how you're going to pay your bills, how you're going to do the things that you've always dreamed of in your retirement. Because guess what? If you go on a luxury vacation, it's not free, is it, David?
Is it, David?
It is not.
You've also stressed the importance today of a good, solid tax strategy. Tell me about that.
Well, because the way tax rates are right now, if they're going to go up in the future, is your plan going to compensate for that? So if you're on a fixed budget, right, and we've got $2,000 or $3,000 coming in a month from various sources, and if Uncle Sam's got his hands out and instead of 20% that he's asking for, now he wants 40%, that doubles your tax liabilities. Is your income plan going to be able to account for that? Or are you going to be able to tap into other resources? Taxes could eat away all of your investments.
Yeah, absolutely. Could be your largest expense in retirement. Why is it so important at this stage of life to make sure our portfolio does not look like it did when we were 25, 30, 35 years old?
Because guess what? The market goes up, the market goes down. So when you have to take money out when it's down, guess what? You're really affecting your retirement later down the road. And the closer you get to retirement, the safer you need to be, because you don't want to get to that spot where you lost 50% of your 401k to the market.
Yeah, and when you're 20 and 30 years old, you can take those kinds of risks. If you take that loss, you've got a long way to go so you can recap that, right? So those are things that you got to focus on. When you get closer to retirement, that's when we got to throttle back that market risk.
Absolutely. And all of that being said, you have something very special for our viewers who are watching at home.
That's right. For the first 5 callers that have saved $250,000 or more for retirement, I'd like to extend an invitation to give us a call, and our team will personally help them put together their very own retirement plan. And Mallory and David will do this on a complimentary basis.
An opportunity that should not be missed. Thank you, gentlemen. So once again, exclusively for our Finance Report viewers, Ralph and Tim have a special offer to help you get ready for retirement. Right now, for the first 5 calls with a portfolio of $250,000 or greater, they're offering a complimentary full-blown retirement plan just for you.
That's right. This will allow Ralph and Tim to sit down with you personally and provide you with a roadmap analyzing where you are right now and discuss your best steps to really get ready for a successful retirement. The number to call right now, 804-944-8867. Once again, that number, 804-944-8867. From all of us here at the Finance Report, thanks for watching.
We'll catch you back here next time.